Guys, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be doing another instructional video of the I Suck at Pinball series. Today's topic is going to be aiming and shooting. So I've curated a few different games on the HD and the 4K to kind of go through and talk about and help you find the difference of, first of all, what is the difference between aiming and shooting? Aiming is where you want the ball to go, and shooting is what you're going to do to actually get it there. So I've decided to go through and curate a couple of games that I think are going to be best to show this on the HD and the 4K system, because I know not all of you have 4K systems, so I'm not gonna restrict this to Attack from Mars or something like that. Attack from Mars is a good instructional video to show you, but first off, I'm going to show you Garfield. Now this is a 4K video, but I'm not going to show shooting on this one. I'm just going to use this as an example. So when you want to get good at aiming and shooting, you want to find a table that has a nice, clean fan layout. Garfield, for example, is a very clean fan layout. It's very easily represented that there's shots here, 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 here. There are shots everywhere on this thing, and they're all very accessible across the entire playfield. There's no obstructions. It's completely wide open. Yes, you do have posts that you have to deal with and all these little things, but the shots themselves are very straightforward. I'm going to show this on the HD. This is another good example of a fan layout on an HD table. This is House of Diamonds Deluxe, and you notice here you've got a wide shot here, you've got a capture hole here, you've got an orbit, you have a ramp, you have like a Vera target, you have a ramp up the middle here, you have a shot here, another ramp, another orbit, another ramp, a ramp that actually orbits to itself, which is unique, and then you have an orbit, and then you have another set of spot targets over here. So this is another good fan layout that we're going to use to kind of express some of these things that are happening here. All right, so I'm going to start on Attack from Mars just to kind of express some of the shots. I'm going to use a couple of props here. All I have is this is like a keyboard wrist guard thing. It's just it's very black. It's got some soft stuff on the bottom so it doesn't scratch the glass. But I'll use this to kind of express where I'm shooting or aiming, and then I'll show you how to actually shoot the shot, to actually do it. So, and I also have this little Nerf rival ball. So this is pretty close to scale for some of the tables. It's not perfect for everything. This is a little bit big for the Zen versions, but it's actually pretty perfect for the Magic Pixel ones. So I'll use this as a tool to kind of show you where the ball is positioned on the flipper as we take the shots. And then we'll actually show it on the actual system as well during gameplay. So first off, we need to think about where you want to shoot, for example. So shots up the middle for this one. I want to, first of all, express on this table, the center is not the center of the playfield all the way up. The center of the flippers here is not the center of the playfield. The center of the playfield's here, and it comes all the way down and actually is right at the right tip of the right flipper on this one. So know that because you have that plunger that we talked about early in some of these one-on-one classes, because of that plunger, a lot of tables are not centered. So just know that going in. There's a lot of times one shot on one side of the playfield or another is actually better to take shots than the other. One little note, we talked about backhand shots before. A backhand shot is a shot that you're going to take from the right flipper to the right side of the playfield, or the left side of the playfield from the left flipper. Those are considered backhand shots. Those are quite a bit more difficult to do, but they can be done, and we'll show a little bit of that, but I'm really going to hone in on forehand shots, which are going to be shots from the one side of the flipper to another portion of the other side of the playfield, or straight up, okay? So that's what we're going to look at today. I think these are good practice, and definitely get yourself a good fan layout to do these on. So when I take shots, I think about percentage of flipper. What that does is it gives me a gauge as to where to hit the shot consistently. One of the things I'm going to be looking at doing is, so if you miss a shot, so we're going to shoot from this left shot here, and we're going to shoot for this cow ramp. Okay? I'm going to put this here. this is the shot we want to take. Okay? If I want to hit that cow shot, I need to think about where I'm going to place this ball to be able to take that shot. It looks pretty simple right now. You just throw it on there and it's gonna be the exact shot, right? Well, speed does matter when it comes to this stuff. So this shot, for example, is going to be right here to be able to hit that cow ramp. Now the end of the ball here on this one, I want to show this. The end of the ball here is level with the end of the flipper. Okay, that is a very clean shot. This is what I call the final 25%, is what I'll typically refer to this as. 25% of the flipper, okay? This is not the end of the flipper. It's not the tip of the flipper. It's basically a 25% shot. So that is something we're going to look at. You see the entire flipper? We're kind of like the center of the ball is about the 25% spot on the flipper. So if we wanted to take a shot to here, for example, this shot would be too early or too late, and you're going to go wide and you're actually going to hit the cow ramp. So if we wanted to hit this shot, we'd have to move it back up a little bit. So we're going to move, here's our shot aimed at there. This is going to be about a 33% shot. So we'll see how we're a little bit higher up the flipper. This shot here will probably go directly into that shot for either for the extra ball or stroke of luck or whatever it is, this capture hole. Now, if we go a little further, we go halfway up the flipper, we're probably going to get into this range. We're going to get into about here, probably into this green target. And if we go even a little higher to like a 33, maybe 40% or so of this flipper, we're going to go straight up the middle. And that's what you kind of want to do sometimes. Okay, now if you want to get extreme on this one, you could sort of pseudo backhand this. A shot from right here is, first of all, is really tough to do under speed. Speed's going to matter when you take these shots. I'm taking these shots from a dead stop, okay? So this is something we're going to think about here. As the speed increases, the percentage of flipper has to increase as well, okay? So as you're coming down the flipper, depending on how much speed you have, means you're going to have to flip sooner than you would have liked to be able to hit the same shot. It's pretty simple to think about, but it's something you have to think about. Now, if you flip this flipper back with the ball clear up here, you could get into a little bit of a backhand here. You could get into this green shot here. There's a chance you're going to ricochet and go up this ramp here. So those are the things that you're going to start to think about. Now, if you wanted to go all the way over here, say you needed to take that orbit shot, which you're going to do a lot in this table. You have to hit the shot multiple times. You're going to have to bring this ball all the way down to halfway off of that flipper, okay? It's a little uncomfortable, but you have to be able to hit that ball when it's half of the ball is off the flipper. So this is when you engage the flipper to be able to go up that orbit. That's a shot you're going to have to take. Now, if you want to get even more extreme than that, which is something Magic Pixel does all the time, say you wanted to hit these green targets over here underneath this Martian, this shot is going to be very, very tip of the flipper. Very tip of the flipper means you're about 25% of the ball when you flip this flipper. So you can see here, this ball is basically gone at this point. And you're like, man, that's a difficult shot. Yes, it is. That is what we're talking about. These extreme angle shots that you see all the time, those are types of things that we're going to be looking at. So same thing goes over here. If you want to take the shot to the orbit, it's the same shot. So we're going to take the same type of ball. It's going to be about half the flipper, and we're going to be able to shoot it right up that orbit there. But the ball needs to basically be rolling off the flipper. See how here it's like halfway out the flipper? Now if you wanted to go here, this one, the end of the ball has to be level with the end of the flipper. Okay, so that's going to be that shot there. That's going to go right up this ramp for the lobsters. Alright, same for this lock ramp. You go just a little bit higher. It's going to be about 33% of the flipper. So those are the things you're going to start to see, okay? Now this one, remember, this flipper is actually not centered. So this shot to the center is a lot harder on this side. So by the time you shoot this shot, you have to have this ball pretty much about here to be able to make that shot. It's a pretty tough shot because of the angles, there's just not a lot of angle there. And this is from a dead stop, mind you. So if this ball's coming down this inlane, it comes down the inlane and rolls this way, good luck. You're going to have a real hard time hitting that shot. And more likely or not, you're going to hit the green target or you're going to go in this lock hole, which is fine. If that's what you're going for, that's a really good shot. So let's see it in practice, and we'll show it just a little bit, and then we'll jump over to the HD and kind of show it there as well. And again, I have the volume turned down on this. I didn't say that, but I wanted to keep the volume pretty low so you actually hear what I'm saying. This ball will eventually drop in the capture hole, but I'm getting millions while I'm doing it, so I'm not gonna argue. Now this ball is gonna kick out. I'm gonna pull my left flipper and I'm gonna capture that ball. So this is what we would call kind of the crotch, if you will, the crotch of the flipper. And if I want to hit the center target right here, we're gonna go about half of the flipper. Remember, that's what we said? Half the flipper will hit that shot. Even that hits the far right side of this shot here. Now, if I want to go to this capture hole here, we have to go a little bit further. So now we said before, maybe like 33%, maybe 40% of the flipper or so. So let's go here. We're going to go a little bit further down. Now, if we miss, like I missed there, okay, I flipped too soon. Now, if you're going too soon, it's going to be further to the left. So in this case, I missed. It went further to the left. So this is how you start to gauge shots. You know, if you're missing to the left, you need to shoot later. If you're shooting and you're missing to the right, you're shooting too late from the left side. It's going to be the opposite of the right flipper. So we're going to try it again a little bit further down the flipper. Still missed. Okay, we're a little bit further down. So that's too far. That was 25% of the flipper. So we're going to grab this again, and this is a great example. This table actually allows me to capture that ball pretty easily. So this is why I chose this one. And you can see I just missed a little bit, so that's a little bit late. Okay, that's too early. We did our digipass, got to the other side, and then this ball's going to kick out and go to the left again. This capture hole shot is pretty difficult, so you can see why I keep missing it. Oops. I gotta dead flip this back over there. Alright. Now, I'll go for this again, but then I want to show you this cow shot. This cow shot's pretty easily done. That's the shot there. So that was right where I needed to be, about 33% down the flipper. Ball's going to kick out. Now I want to go to this cow shot. Now we said that the end of the ball, the very edge of the ball, should be level with the end of the flipper at the bottom of the flipper. So right here, there it is. So that is a really good example of what that shot's going to look like. Now we're going to take the orbit shot. This orbit shot we said is about where the ball is halfway off the flipper. So when this ball leaves the flipper, it's going to be like this, but in the down position. So it's going to be very tip of the flipper. We'll show it here. See how that went? Okay, that's what we're talking about. We have to be able to do that from both flippers and be able to gauge that. So let's flip it over to the other side. There's another 25% shot to the other side. Okay? So let's go ahead and we will reset this one. We're going to show it from the right side. See if I can capture this thing. It's a little tougher to capture on this side just because of the inertia of the ball. So same type of thing. We're going to take the let's go for the lock shot. Now this shot for whatever reason is pretty difficult at times. So we're going to try it. It should be about 40% or so. So that's too early. Right there. You see how the ball kind of settled there for a second? That's what we want. Now, you don't have to do digipasses to do that. That's a complex skill that you're going to get to. The more you practice it, and practice and practice and practice. Practice? We're talking about practice. Yes, we are. Practice is very important, and you will get better. So again, we talked about this shot here as being the exact same as the cow shot. It's the same over here. The end of the ball needs to be level with the end of the flipper, and we'll be able to hit that lobster shot. That was just a little bit late. And if you were to look at this in slow-mo or stop it, you would have noticed that the edge of the ball was actually beyond the end of the flipper. I could see it when I did it. That's a little too early. That was good, but I didn't get enough on the flip. So, all right, let's do it again. Not a perfect science, but oops, God darn it! I was hoping that ball would kick over there. Like I said, it's tougher to get this ball on the right-hand side, so we're going to try to capture this thing. There, this will capture, oops. Calm down. All right. Now we're going to try to hit the lobster shot. Too late. So you notice half the ball was off the flipper. That's why I hit the orbit shot. Okay, now we're going to hit the lobster shot. That's too soon. There we go. And you notice right when that was level at the end of the flipper, that, again, that's a 25% shot. So we're going to do it again. Right there. Now we get in unison, we start doing it back and forth, back and forth. This is what we're going to try to do. Okay, now we have a, for example, this wants us to take a shot up the middle. Now, what do we say this had to be? Probably about halfway up the flipper, or halfway down the flipper, rather. That takes a shot right up the middle. Okay, now if I want to take that shot, notice I was a little, even that was a little bit to the right, so I'm going to go a little bit sooner because I want to go further to the left. So that was like a 40%, and I still missed pretty much to the right, just because of the way the ball actuates, okay? Keep in mind, any lag on the table is going to affect your location of the ball. So this is where lag becomes a big problem, because you are expecting that when that ball hits that spot and you hit that button, that it's absolutely instantaneous. It's not always the case. Depending on the table, the lag gets worse and worse and worse. Now, I will say, At Games has made these tables very, very good. They're much better than they were, but the Zen tables definitely have more lag than the Magic Pixel tables. If you go to the Magic Pixel tables, you will not see this amount of lag at all. Their flippers are much more reactive with the FPS to the milliseconds of a flip reaction time. That's your orbit shot. Okay, so now we've exhausted Attack from Mars. We're going to jump over to a Magic Pixel table, and we're going to apply the same thing to House of Diamonds Deluxe. Now again, this one has Magic Pixel physics, so they're a little more bouncy. I'm not going to be able to capture the ball near as easy, and you'll be able to see that. We're going to have to struggle a little bit to show this. But we're going to go through the same type of instruction on House of Diamonds. Now, this is a table that I don't know offhand. Like, I don't know it, I don't have it dialed in. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to kind of have to gauge this myself. And if I start to miss to the right, I got to actuate a little bit further or a little sooner on the left-hand side, and vice versa. Okay? Now, theoretically, this orbit shot, for example, right here, should be about halfway off the flipper, just like we talked about before. We'll see if that's the case or not. Now, some of these more extreme shots that you see in Magic Pixel tables, I mean, there's shots like, for example, on a Dr. Seuss table, there's some Dr. Seuss tables that have shots where you're literally pushing the flipper at this point, where the ball is just barely, I mean, this is the tip of the flipper. Very difficult shots. We'll show some of those. So these ones, we're going to kind of go through and just see what happens here. And we'll start to gauge, and we'll talk through it, where the ball needs to be able to take these shots. Hopefully I can get the ball to capture so we can actually show this from a dead flip. There we go. And you'll notice here, look here, see the ball size is a little more reminiscent. This is still a little bit big, but you get the idea. Okay, so now we're going to look at this orbit shot. So this should be ball should be like halfway off the flipper. That's too soon. So this is going to kick out and we're going to capture. So that's closer to, okay, so that ball was almost gone, right? Of course I started a mode. Alright. Capture. Alright, so here's the shot here on the far left. Now these shots are going to be the very, very tip of the flipper. If you're going to hit these shots, it's going to be the very, very tip of the flipper. Say I want to go for this capture hole here, though. It should be the tip of the flipper, but not like when it's literally gone. See, even that's about half the flipper. That's an orbit shot. That's a pretty typical orbit shot. But I have to go a little further, and even that hit the post. So I know I have to hit even later. So even later would be a capture hole, and even later than that. So this is Magic Pixel at its finest, because it's gonna push your limits of when to use the flippers, because they have shots all over the table. See, that's too far. Like, I dang near lost the ball. I actually hit the other flipper on the thing. See that? So we're way too late on it. There is a capture hole shot. Okay? Let's go here. This combo shot here should be about half a flipper. No, that was, I'm sorry. Half a flipper is going to be too high. So we're going to be about 33% maybe to go up that next ramp. That would be an orbit shot. Whoops. So, again, bouncer physics on Magic Pixel a little tougher to show. But these same strategies are going to be applied to any table that you touch. The only reason I suggest that you start with a fan layout is so that you can see what you're actually shooting for. Some of these more difficult tables, they all have the same shots. You can only take so many shots. There's only so many angles on the table that you can take across this fan. It's a fan layout no matter what you look at when you think of it that way. But it's amount of where the obstructions are. So that was a nice shot there. That's a little bit further down the flipper. This says that we want to shoot the right flipper, or the center shot. So if we want to hit the center shot, we have to go further up the flipper. That was too far. So that was about 25% down the flipper. You know, maybe 75% of the flipper. This one could be a little higher. See, there we go. So that was about, what, 80% by the time I shot that? So those are the things that we're looking at, and we're going to be able to use this across the board on any table. So this is a good example of one to try, and obviously I've already finished the game. I'm so bad at this one. But that was not the point. We are practicing, okay? So let's go to another table. We'll go to, let's see here. I'm going to show a couple more tables of kind of the things you're going to look at. So Amazonia is a good example. It's an HD capable table. Same type of things. You have a capture hole, which is very similar to that one we just talked about on House of Diamonds. You have a shot here, which is, again, just a little bit up the flipper, up the right flipper. This one's actually going to, you can shoot this shot to come down and do there, but this one here is probably maybe a 40% shot, maybe a 33% type of shot off of this right flipper, down the flipper. The higher percentage of flipper I use at the top of the flipper, the lower percentage of the flipper I use at the bottom of the flipper. So if I didn't define that good enough, make sure that that's what you're thinking. I did mistakenly say 25% of the flipper at the top. You don't want to do that. I mean, you can, just so long as you understand what you're talking about when you're doing it. Same applies to these other flippers. However, consider orientation for these flippers. These flippers are not in the same orientation as the ones down here. The ones down here are pretty standard across the board. They're always kind of a down at like a 33 angle or 30 degree angle or so. So these are going to be pretty consistent across the board. Lag will factor though. If you look at some of the Gottlieb tables, in fact, I pulled up I grabbed a Gottlieb table here just to kind of show you. This one here, Wipeout, this one has some very different physics. Again, physics matter, right? So this is a Gottlieb table. The physics are a little different, the little floaty physics. But this has this shot here, which seemingly should be pretty easy, is much further down the flipper on the right-hand side than you would think that it would be. So we'll try to show this. This table's quite quiet, so I apologize, but really not the important part for this one. We're going to try to capture this ball, and it does not want to capture. So I'm going to take this shot here. This isn't going to come down this flipper here. We're going to actually try to take that shot. It is way too late. See how late that was? I actually missed it completely. So this one here, if I want to hit this shot here, that's a pretty extreme angle on this shot, so you have to go pretty late. It's even later than that. So that was about 25% of the flipper, or half of the ball was gone when I took that shot. And this is the same case over here. Same thing. That's too much. Too late. Okay, so if I did too late, I'm going to have to flip a little earlier next time. Those are the things you're going to be thinking about all the time when you're gauging these shots. Obviously, when you're aiming, you want to look to where you're shooting, okay? Looking to where you're shooting is one thing, but then you have to maybe be able to take that shot under speed. So, speed is going to be the next thing. Let's talk about that. So let's jump back to, let's go to Party Zone. It's a good example. Party Zone is a good example. It's a very simplistic table. It can snake bite you big time. This game will drain a lot of balls. But, I'm sorry, I apologize for that. Anyway, so Party Zone, here we go. We're going to fire this up. You're going to see a couple of things in practice on this one. They're very, very common. So to take this shot, there's a couple of shots on this table. There's really only 3 or 4 shots on this entire table. That's why it's a good example for this. If I hold this right flipper, I'm going to get this ball on this right flipper. Now, if I want to take this shot up this ramp here, this is a classic 25% shot. It's a simple shot, but if you want the ball to be settled down, when I try this shot next time, first of all, I'm going to try it this time. Classic 25% shot. That was too late. Figures. We'll show it. Alright. Punch this ball. We're going to get this ball to come down. Eventually. But this is a good example for this. You're going to get a dead flip. No, you're not going to get a dead flip, I guess. Come on, give me the ball. Give me the ball. Okay, so we're going to hold our flipper. It's going to come down. Most of the time, this will settle down perfectly. 25% shot. Nope, that's too early. That's why I missed to the right. Okay. This time, we're going to go a little bit later. End of the ball for this shot, 25% shots. End of the ball needs to be level with the end of the flipper in the down position. There we go. Perfect shot. That's what you want. I'm going to hold the left flipper now and do the same thing on this side. Now, if I wanted to do this extreme shot over here, there's a shot right here. I don't know if you can see it real well. This shot means this is like an orbit shot, so the ball has to be about halfway off the flipper. That was too late. We're going to do this one. Now this time we're going to do it in motion. This one's got a little bit of speed to it. I had to flip it a little bit sooner. That was about half speed. Now see this shot? That shot was a lot easier when the ball was moving because I didn't have to let the ball kind of fall off the flipper. It's already going to do it just by the time it takes to get there. This time, I'm going to have to shoot that shot a lot later. And you can see, like, it's a lot tougher shot. So these are good examples of shots you want to take, and just a good way to really try them and really practice them out. This time, I'm going to show you this shot to this left orbit, but I'm going to do it without stopping the ball, okay? I'm going to get this ball to go up. I'm going to shoot it into here, and it's going to come down, and I'm going to hit it immediately, and we're going to show what's going to happen. It's much more difficult to do it with timing. So I'm going to shoot this shot up here. This time I'm not going to stop the ball. I'm just going to try to take that shot directly, and I'll show you what I can do. See, I missed it late. Now I would be able to stop the ball, and we can try it again. That was too early. And again, good practice. I was able to get the ball back. End of flipper, level, and boom, we got it. We're going to hold the left flipper up again on this side. Same thing here. If I wanted to hit this shot, this is about a 25% shot. You know, the funny thing is this shot and this shot are basically the same. If you notice the angle of them at the point of entry, they're almost identical. That's the beauty. So this shot, it's the exact same shot. So you're just doing it from the left flipper or the right flipper. This time we'll do it again. We'll shoot it without doing it. That time I got it. Now you can do it, but it is going to take some practice. This time we're going to do that extreme shot again. Let it run right off the flipper, and boom, you got it. You come down here, same thing. Let it run off the flipper and hit it. Okay? Now we'll take the shot under the cottage. We know that's a 25% shot, so the end of the ball needs to be level with the end of the flipper. Boom, we got it. Hold the right flipper down. We want this ball to settle down this time, and then we'll take that orbit shot up the left side. And actually, I'm in multi-ball now, so I apologize. But even with multi-ball, I have a little bit of time here. I'm going to take that extra time, even if I lose the extra ball, just for the sake of argument here. Sometimes you have time, sometimes you don't. This time I didn't. See that? I didn't have time to do it. And then I shot the shot too late. So, now in this case, we're in multi-ball. I'm going to let this actually run out. This is party zone for you. I'm going to let this run out. This 2-for-1 playfield is actually going to kick on. Then this shot becomes double every single time you shoot it. So if you get good at the shot and you like party zone, this is a huge tip. Every shot you take now is going to be double what it was before. Oh, I lost the ball anyway. So anyway, that's a good tip. All right. Hopefully this tutorial has been helpful. It's all about gauging those shots across the table. We're going to look at some difficult shots now. If we look at Black Rose, Black Rose can be a really tough shot, or a really tough shooting type of game, because the ball doesn't generally stop. You don't get a lot of opportunities to stop the ball, cradle the ball, and really take the shot that you want to take. So This is why Black Rose can be kind of brutal. And they don't give you, there's no ball saves in Black Rose. You lose a ball, you're done. You just don't get a ball back very often. So we're going to show a couple of shots here. And again, I know that the tables are really hard to see to take these shots. But this shot here, this is a classic 25% shot to up the world. That's too late. Okay? That's too late. That one's with speed. Now this one's going to come down. I'm not going to get a chance to stop it. Now I missed it early. You do get a chance to stop it on this side pretty much, but that's too late. That's your orbit shot. So is it, starting to run off the flipper? That's too late again. So the ball starts to go off the flipper, and I start to lose track of it. That's too late. So you just have to continue to gauge that and just keep trying. That's still late. I hit the post, but I still wasn't early enough. So again, if I'm going to miss right, you just keep going up and up and up the flipper until you find where you need to be. And then once you got that locked in, you're good to go every single time. Same thing we're going to do on the right side now. The right side has some really cool shots on this table, if I can get the ball in play. Luckily, I got this one back. You don't get a lot of ball saves, but you do get, they'll give you it back again off a plunge a lot of times. So this shot up the middle, it's a primary, absolute needed shot in this game. If you cannot do this shot from the right flipper, you're toast. You need to be able to shoot this shot immediately once the ball, when I release this flipper, it's going to do this little bounce thing. And the second it settles, you're going to hit the ball from almost 85, 90% of this flipper to be able to get it up to this shot. It's a very tough shot to do. You hit it, and see, that's already too late. Already too late. So look at that. Like, it's just barely making it. So this is what I'm talking about. You have to give it just a little bit of a bounce. Very tough shot. Once you get it, you get it dialed in, you're like, okay. See, that's a really, really tough shot. Let it do that little bounce, and bang, there you go. And then once you get good at this shot, you shoot it again and again and again. This one kicks it right back to you. Now, this one's a 25% shot, typical ramp shot. 25% shots are basically the ramp shots a lot of times. I'm missing it already, but the other shot I want to show you is this shot here. This little orbit shot here. This is another one of those where the ball kind of goes off the flipper. Halfway off. Halfway off is typically for your orbit shots. Bring this thing around, and I lost the ball. Cool, but I got it back. Alright, got it here. Same type of thing. I want to put it over here. Yes, it's asking me to do all kinds of things. I'm not going to follow the shiny things for this tutorial. I want to take this shot to the Pirate's Cove. So it's going to be where the ball's sliding off the flipper. There you go. When this ball kicks out, luckily I'm going to be able to get a dead flip and come right back down to it. I can do the same shot again. Let it roll off the flipper halfway, and you're good to go. So, with that, I hope that this lesson has been helpful. I know there's a lot that we jumped into. Just know that if you're missing one side or the other, just go up the flipper a little bit. If you're missing late, go up the flipper a little bit. If you're missing early, you got to go down the flipper a little bit. So there's just a little bit of things. Layout of the table is going to matter. When you look at these tables, the more convoluted they get, just realize that the shot, you can only take so many shots, right? There's only so many angles of a shot that you can take. So make sure that you're hitting the shots that you can and try not to get too crazy. Just remember that speed matters. So if the ball's coming down the in lane and you realize that you're better off stopping everything with a cradle, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. But realize that some tables are not going to let you do that without doing a nudge when the ball's in the in lane or something like that to get the ball to settle down. You'll see players like Tomato Grass or Med Ben Han, they will sometimes, for example, Attack from Mars is one that they do it almost every single time. The ball will start to come down the in lane. They'll hit the nudge, the side nudge when the ball's in the in lane, just to rattle the ball enough to get it to settle down to that flipper so that they can cradle that ball. That is a technique that is used all over the place. And once you get used to this, and that way you have a settled ball down, now you know that gauge of that ball. You're going to get really good about shots when they're dead on your flipper. Straight up. Those are going to be your bread and butter for shots. When their ball's in motion, they're that much more difficult. But you can get it. So anyway, I hope this tutorial was instructional. If you haven't liked and subscribed to my channel, I hope you consider it. I'm going to be doing a few more tutorials. I got nudges and slap nudges coming up. Is going to be a big one. Very tough to describe, and that's more of an advanced technique. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about ball saves, multipliers, and some of those things, the rollers and things like that. So anyway, thank you guys for coming, and we will see you next time. Retro